You listed some things, when you're talking about the negative workplace. What do you find is the most prevalent one in Nigeria? Is it maybe the salary remuneration? Maybe?
That will be peculiar to the different occupations.
Okay.
Some is, if you go to some places, overworking as in terms of time. There's no flexibility. You work almost 24/7. And then secondly, the one that is common, which I know is the reason why a lot of people go on strikes, of course, is the remuneration. The welfare package is not encouraging. But suffice to say that if you go to a lot of companies, those at the very top take care of themselves. They get things like hardship allowance, clothing allowance, this allowance. But if you come down, you find out there's no allowances. Okay, so basic it to be remuneration. If you want to look at the broad aspect, it's issue of financing and social packages.
Because, like I said earlier, a lot of Nigerians believe these things are not real illnesses, and I know that you find maybe more developed societies where people ask questions. If they find out that you are going through something, sometimes they refer you to a therapist or someone to talk to. How much does it affect productivity in this part, seeing as people don't even think it's a real thing? Do you find that maybe we're not as productive as we should be? Because the person might not even know they have this thing going on and still work in spite of it. Is that what you find?
Okay, let me say that about interactions with people who had worked in a particular office for 5 years and they've not gotten any promotion. They've not gotten promoted in level and also the same finances in reception and everything. So what happened is that, number one, there is lack of productivity. Secondly, there is lack of motivation. They don't want, even going to work sometimes is a burden. They tell you their take home cannot take them home. Before you know it, they've even collected the money for the next month on loan. So they are practically just existing. They are just barely surviving. So that affects productivity. It affects their work time. And lastly, one of those things that happen over time is that it starts affecting their physical health. There was a particular bank I was attending to a patient, and I found out a lot of under 30s are already having what we call stress-related disorder and hypertension. What is the reason? They say there's no time because we are always working. And they, of course, they can't leave because they say if we leave now, where do we get the job to leave? So it is real, it is happening, and a lot of them are depressed. If you do their mental state examination, you find out that a lot of them have a lot to do and can't disclose at work. Because if they disclose that they are suffering from these mental illnesses, of course, some of their bosses could relieve them of their job. So they just keep it to themselves and not open it.
So when are we going to get to a point where these conversations can start happening openly and people can actually seek help?
In Nigeria, sincerely, the answer is I don't know. Until there is a legislation, until there is a policy that says, okay, there was a time when people who have HIV, once they find out, they'll just relieve you of your work until they start having legislation towards that. So until the government, number one, come in and make a legislation to that effect, that if you have any mental cases, you can come around. Then secondly, that the companies also, we need to have a lot of policies at the level of the company to, say so that if you have any mental case, you can come around and then provide treatment for them. So, but most importantly is the support. Once you find somebody that has any mental illness, it's not about the stigmatization or discrimination. It's about to give them all the necessary support. So maybe in the nearest future, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't know.
That doesn't seem very nearest. But so looking at our society the way it exists now, I mean, like I said, I mean, we do have therapists, we do have, people who you can talk to if you're going through something like this. But seeing as we don't have a culture of doing that. Okay, looking at Nigeria, realistically now, if someone finds out, okay, that, like you said, I'm not very happy doing what I'm doing, I'm not getting this job satisfaction anymore, everything sort of irritates me, I like to be left alone, my mood swings are getting very intense, maybe all the signs of maybe depression or anxiety or whatever. How do you manage it as a Nigerian, realistically? What should you do?
Okay, like we said in the first question, we actually do not have the culture yet. So what I would advise people to do is that they should speak with a professional, speak to a professional about it. Disclosing it, I might not be sure because at this point we don't know what the outcome could be. So they should seek help. They should seek help from professional psychologists, psychiatrists, and most of them they should also discuss with their families. The family need to know if there's some medication they need to take. They should take it, and then of course anything they ask them to do. But I don't know, depending on where they work, if the company actually is open to assisting, then they could they should discuss with the workforce. It's very, very important, because if a person is depressed, for example, it will affect the overall work, its overall productivity at work. So it should involve them.
I like the fact that you mentioned family there. How much of a role do they play in this? Because, I mean, they might not be professionals, but sometimes I want to believe that just talking might even just change a lot, isn't it?
You know what we have currently now is that we already, this society or the culture we have now, you distance yourself from family. And then you need to also know the kind of family you have, because some families, you tell them, and then before you know it, they start discriminating or stigmatizing you. So if it's a very positive family, there's nothing that stops you from sharing with them, because they end up assisting you in the best way they can. Family is a very strong supportive system for people who have mental illnesses and disorders. Very, very key.
Just to step slightly away now from the workplace talk now, I was watching something, I can't remember, sometime last week, and they were talking about depression related to social media, with a lot of young people now, where you open up your Instagram or your Twitter or whatever it is, and you see people, maybe your peers or your age mates or people who are supposed to be your mates, with the flashy cars, with wads of cash on their bed, wearing all the designer labels, and then you go into this, it is a real thing, isn't it? Depression can come from something like that.
Now, talking about the social media, depression could set in, but we also know that most of those people flashing all of those things, most of them are actually not real. A lot of them also have something they are dealing with, but they just pushing up some of those things just to, like a makeover thing.
So it's important not to pay attention too much.
It's very, very bad. It's better not to pay attention to those things. It's better you just look into yourself as much as you can. There's nobody that's ever satisfied with the salaries for those who are working. Nobody's ever satisfied. So what you need to do is that you need to, as much as possible, be contented with what you have. You need to cut on some of the excesses that you have. And lastly, be yourself, work on yourself, and most importantly, be amongst happy people. It's very key. Being among happy people. If you stay among those who show off, who don't have enough, who seemingly show off, and you don't have, that is more likely to tend you towards depression. But if you're among happy people, before you know it, you yourself get happy, and then things can get better.
Well, thank you very much for being here today, Dr. Samuel. Very important, like you said, try and talk. Family is very important, but most importantly, if you can get help from a professional, make sure you do that. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we'll be talking entertainment. Please stay with us.